I am Adrian Vale. Today, I'm not reading a story sent by someone. Today, I'm going to tell you an extraordinary mystery, Brown Sahib's Diary. This story was written by Satyajit Ray. He was not just a writer, he was a legendary Indian filmmaker, screenwriter, storyteller, composer, illustrator, calligrapher, and a rare creative genius. He is widely considered one of the greatest and most influential directors in the history of world cinema. No matter how much you say about him, it will never be enough. And today, I bring you one of his most eerie, mysterious, and spine-chilling stories. So dim the lights, listen closely, and let's begin today's story, Brown Sahib's Diary. In 1858, a grieving Englishman in India claimed his dead companion came back every single night. More than a century later, 3 men entered the abandoned house where it happened. Only then did they discover who or what the ghost really was. It started with a diary, not a printed journal, a real one. Red leather cover, gold lettering, the name stamped on the front, John Middleton Brown. Inside was a signature, an address in Bangalore, and a date, January 1858. The diary surfaced in a dusty pile of second-hand books, cheap enough to ignore, valuable enough to become unforgettable. At first, it seemed ordinary. Brown was a British schoolmaster living in colonial India. He wrote about the weather, the flowers in his garden, visitors in the city, memories of England, and the death of his wife, Elizabeth. Lonely pages, quiet pages. Then one name began appearing again and again, Simon. Brown wrote about Simon constantly. Simon was clever. Simon was stubborn. Simon had moods. Simon loved one particular chair near the fireplace. Simon had disappeared all day, and Brown was miserable. Who was Simon? A son? A brother? A servant? A friend? The diary never said. Then came the page that changed everything. September 22nd, 7:30 in the evening. Brown wrote that Simon had been struck by lightning. The next morning, Simon's body was found near a eucalyptus tree in the garden, burned, still, gone. After that, the diary turned dark. Brown stopped going to work. He wrote of grief, illness, and hopelessness. A doctor named Lucas came to treat him. He considered leaving India forever. Then, weeks later, the handwriting changed. Same man, different ink, red ink. Brown wrote that he had returned home one evening and entered his drawing room. There, beside the fireplace, sitting in a favorite high-backed chair, was Simon, alive, watching him. Brown said the room was dark, so he struck a match to see more clearly. The instant the flame appeared, Simon vanished. But Brown wasn't afraid. He was overjoyed. He believed Simon had returned from death out of love. From then on, the diary says Simon came back every evening. The final line read, like peace after madness, "The love of the dead still remains." And then the diary ended. Now imagine reading that, then learning the house still existed. That's exactly what happened to a man named Ranjan. He was a collector of old books, and once he found the diary, he couldn't let go of the mystery. So when an old school friend invited him to Bangalore, he went. The friend's name was Anik, soft-spoken, nervous, the type who hated scary stories and loved daylight. When Ranjan mentioned Brown's house, Anik nearly refused on the spot. But a third man overheard them, Hrishikesh Banerjee, tall, loud, fearless, the kind of man who laughed at ghosts before breakfast. He worked in an aircraft factory, carried himself like military steel, and spoke with total confidence. Ghosts? He laughed. In this age? Then he said the words that started the night. I'll take you there myself. That afternoon, Banerjee arrived in a Morris Minor exactly on time. They packed candles, coffee, sandwiches, cards, a flashlight, mosquito cream, and Banerjee casually mentioned he also had a gun, just in case. On the drive, he explained he had already done research. The house was real. Evergreen Lodge. Empty for decades. No one lived there long. Some people picnicked in the yard years ago. Most of the furniture had been auctioned off, and nobody officially called it haunted. That last detail wouldn't last long. When they arrived, the place looked like something abandoned by time itself. A cracked gate, wild grass, moss-covered walls, broken windows, a front door hanging crooked on its hinges. Someone even changed the sign from Evergreen Lodge to Nevergreen Lodge by painting an extra N. Funny, until you stepped inside. The wooden floors creaked beneath every footstep. Dust filled the air. Spiderwebs draped the corners. And in the main room stood an old fireplace, the exact place where Simon's chair once stood. Banerjee smiled. What now? Poker? Rummy? They unpacked their things. Then came the first sound. Footsteps. Another person was inside the house. Anik nearly froze. Banerjee shouted into the darkness. A man emerged. Not a ghost, just a local painter named Venkatesh scouting the building for an art studio. He left. Banerjee laughed again. Was that your Simon? The tension broke. Candles were lit. Coffee was poured. They started playing cards. Outside, evening thickened. Then a black cat slipped silently through the hallway. Banerjee grinned. Perfect, he said. Black cats go well with ghosts. Another joke. Then someone knocked at the front door. 3 sharp knocks. An elderly Englishman stood outside with a cane. Another false alarm. A neighbor named Dr. Larkin, curious about candlelight in the abandoned house. He left laughing. Again, nothing supernatural. Again, cards resumed. But Ranjan kept watching the clock. He knew the exact time Simon had died, 7:30. He dealt the next hand. Banerjee lit his pipe. Anik reached for a sandwich. Then Anik stopped moving. His face drained white. He was staring into the hallway. The others turned. 2 glowing eyes floated in the darkness, greenish-yellow, unblinking, watching them. Banerjee's hand moved toward his pocket. Ranjan spoke first. It's the black cat. And it was. The cat stepped calmly into the room. Everyone exhaled. Then the cat turned left, toward the fireplace. Their eyes followed, and every man in that room forgot how to breathe. Because beside the fireplace, where nothing had stood all evening, was a chair, a deep red velvet high-backed chair. It had not been there before. No one had carried it in. No footsteps, no sound, no warning. Just empty space one moment, and Simon's chair the next. The cat approached it, paused, then leaped onto the cushion and curled into a ball. That's when the laughter began. Thin, old, somewhere in the room but nowhere visible. Then clapping, childlike, delighted clapping, and a voice repeating the same name over and over. Simon, Simon, Simon. Anik screamed and fainted instantly. Banerjee, fearless Banerjee, grabbed him and ran. Ranjan ran too. They left everything behind. Cards, candles, coffee, sandwiches. Straight through the garden, through the gate, into the car. No one looked back. Later, when Anik regained consciousness, Banerjee grabbed a glass of brandy and drank half in one swallow. Then the man who mocked ghosts whispered the final truth.
Simon was a cat.
And suddenly, every page of Brown's diary made sense. Simon's moods, Simon's stubbornness, Simon vanishing all day, Simon's favorite chair, Simon's glowing eyes in the dark, Simon returning every evening to the warm seat by the fire. Brown's beloved companion was never a child, never a brother, never a servant, just a black cat, loved so deeply that death itself, perhaps, couldn't break the habit of coming home. So here's the real mystery. Did 3 grown men witness a haunting? Did grief leave an echo in that house? Or did one loyal animal simply return to its favorite chair? Whatever the truth is, somewhere in old Bangalore, there may still be a red velvet chair waiting in the dark.